Hi, Merry Christmas from the Gamins. Yay, we wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. We're so thankful to be at Christ Lutheran and be part of the family here. We also wanted to introduce you to a new project that we have ready for the new year, Pastor Dave.
Yes, it's going to be a live devotion, and we're going to call it Jesus on the Fly.
Jesus on the Fly, because that sounds fun,
Yeah.
you know. And we all only have so much time. And so we want people to be able to access the devotional content in about 5 minutes and be able to interact if they'd like to this time. So,
And just for fun, we're going to be doing it more on the fly ourselves. So we will be reading a story of Jesus' ministry where there's something happening and Jesus is actually on the fly. He's actually going somewhere, doing something. And we are going to give our theological comments and ideas on the fly. So we're going to be doing essentially no preparation.
Yeah, which sounds a little janky, but non-intimidating, right?
That's right.
Like, no theological scholars here. We just want to talk about the Bible and get it out, and we'll talk about Jesus going and doing. You know, it is Jesus on the fly. He's actually going out, and the stories through the Gospels of where he's, like, meeting with people, which is one of my favorite parts about Jesus, that he stayed on the earth for 33 years and did all kinds of things and met with people just like we do every day. And, you know, not that he's like, he is an example, but we're not like trying to just emulate Jesus. He's our Savior. He's so much more than that. But at the same time, you know, we want to connect with him and see more of who he is, this great God of ours. So a little Jesus on the fly today, right, Pastor Dave? You picked a passage.
Right. I picked this passage because Jesus is literally on the flight to Egypt.
On the flight. All Jesus' is original fly.
Yes, his first flight. All right. This is Matthew chapter 2, verse 13. Now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, Rise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet, Out of Egypt I called my son.
So Jesus had to get out of Dodge. And this is kind of a part of the Christmas story I think we forget. Obviously, none of the Christmas stories is all like unicorns and roses and kittens and stuff.
Right. That's the first thing I think of is it's not just, everything's going to turn out wonderful and, fluffy and nice. This is like the reality of sin and actual death and everything in the life of every person, but in the life of Jesus, right away, that reality here hitting.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest parts of life is that, even if we could, control our own sin or deal with our own sin and, somehow be, righteous people, there's everybody else's, and I think when it comes into our life, just like Herod and his ideas and his desires and stuff came into Jesus' life, it feels so out of control. There's just so much we can't do anything about. And we're going to be impacted by the sin of the world, We're going to have diseases in our family. We're going to have people who don't like us and want to see ill for us. We're going to have family struggles, and then we're going to bring our own sin to the table too. Unlike Jesus, who, had zero sin as the Savior of the world and also is a baby, a toddler at this time.
Mm-hmm. And there's that prophecy about Jesus, about, out of Egypt I have called my son. And it's really kind of bizarre. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of odd. But that's how a lot of the prophecies are. And then, but when you think about it, when you dig a little bit farther, it's like, wow, that really makes sense because, God has a plan. And from this, it's Jesus coming to the world, that's his plan, and then he's got the whole thing planned out of where Jesus is going to go and what he's going to do. and he's going to fulfill all these prophecies. And so it kind of gives us a little foretaste of, oh, wow, this is great, because God has this all planned out, even though there's lots of stuff that's messed up in this world, but God has a plan to take care of everything. So,
like, he knows the
insurance.
Details of the plan.
Yeah,
it's like what you're saying.
Every detail he has it figured out, and he knows exactly where Jesus is going to go and what he's going to do.
Wow, I think that's really encouraging. I hadn't thought about that. Like the fact that I
just
always
thought of it too. Yeah.
Jesus on a fly. I always think of like the grand plan. Like God has this big plan for humanity. And while he's not like a puppet master pulling our strings or anything like that, he does know the details. Like he has the smallest molecule to like the biggest, grandest plan of humanity, in his hands. Like got the whole world, and all that in his hands. Mm-hmm. So it's so encouraging.
Yeah. I also thought one more thought on that was just how Joseph was really like in charge of the plan, and it says, how Joseph took Jesus' mother and Jesus and took them, as he was, told to do in the dream. But kind of another look at Joseph as the kind of protector and in the story, and then you'll see, quickly how that all shifts when Jesus becomes an adult, and all of a sudden, Joseph's kind of role just kind of disappears. But I don't even know where I'm going with that. But I'm just thinking
that's the problem with Jesus.
I'm just thinking like in our lives, like we are to give in responsibilities and things to take care of.
That's true.
And that is part of life. It's not just like sitting back and letting God take care of everything. Yeah. We have an active role as well.
So I like to ask a question with devotions. So I'm thinking like maybe the question is like, where do you see God working in your life? Like right now, what roles and responsibilities has he given you? Or where is he sending you? There's gaming children walking around back there.
It's live and
very live
stuff happening.
But yeah, what roles and responsibilities has he given you? But how is God working and caring and protecting in the plan happening in your life today?
Yes.
Awesome. Yay.
Right. And have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.